Hello and welcome to our webinar, Multidisciplinary Systems Modeling and Analysis. My name is Michael Gans, Senior Program Manager for Life Sciences at Dassault Systèmes, and I will be moderating this session. This is the third webinar in our 5-part series, Model-Based Systems Engineering for Life Sciences Applications, in which we are covering numerous topics we hope will help you advance your MBSE practices. And it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Behnam Afsharpoya. Behnam is a senior systems engineering industry solution consultant at Dassault Systèmes and provides support for CATIA dynamic systems behavior analysis tools, as well as system simulation and automation tools. Behnam has more than 20 years of engineering experience in different industrial fields with an academic background as a postdoctorate research assistant and adjunct professor at University of Delaware and Temple University. Behnam has experience in blood analyzer robotic systems and structural analysis and testing of hip, knee, and spinal implants. He has several conference presentations and publications in computational fluid dynamics, finite element analysis, biomedical engineering, and dynamic systems analysis. Behnam holds a PhD in mechanical engineering from the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom. And now, without further ado, I would like to turn the webinar over to Behnam to begin his presentation. Behnam, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending this session. This session is about multidisciplinary analysis and using model-based system engineering and simulation tools in model-based system engineering. So as you can see in this picture, we have on the right-hand side a diagram from model-based system engineering, and we have different types of diagrams in CSML language. One of the challenges that most of us we have is that we would like to use simulation models from different sources, like simulation models from different software, simulation software, and we want to integrate them inside the descriptive model system models, because at the end of the day, we want to evaluate and validate and verify our simulations using requirements in simulation or in system engineering platform. So if we look at model-based system engineering, one of the main important aspect of this systems engineering methodology is using models, or actually utilizing model-based engineering. And as you can see, we have different levels of maturity for model-based system engineering. In a very low maturity, we can see that we are using ad hoc. There is no integration, and the languages or modeling methodologies that are used are not the standard. I mean, they're not the same. Then we, in step by step, we can see that the maturity can become higher and higher. So with modeling, then you have your output of the process in with a standard language, and then execution. You can execute your models from MBSE, or at the fourth level or higher level, you can bring those models and execute them inside your model-based system engineering platform. And that would help you that when you want to optimize and run like trade-off analysis, to be able to take the parameters that you have in simulation models and use the requirements or constraints in model-based system engineering and optimize your parameters based on the KPIs and information that you have on your model-based system engineering platform. So if you look at the model-based system engineering platform, it includes a structure, behavior, requirements, parametric diagrams, as well as you are using some requirements that coming from outside. You actually define them or edit them inside model-based system engineering platform, or you have external requirements that you can bring them into the platform, or you can synchronize them with the platform, as well as you have way that you can provide or export documents. And also the main important like aspect of model-based system engineering is to be able to work with different uh, like simulation teams or design teams. So you may have different teams in silos like mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, software engineers, and people who are performing tests on simulation models in different silos. And you want to be sure that they can share their models and they can also have a view of their requirements at the same time. So you don't want to only define a set of requirements for a specific group of, for example, engineering or operation, and the other groups, they are not aware of those requirements. So in this case, they can share their models on the platform and use the same requirements that they are defined on the platform. The other hand, you may like to generate processes for simulation and testing. So those processes, they can be generated from model-based system engineering platform, and the results can go back to the system for evaluation. So all of this is the actually what we are going to explain and integration of about integration of MBSE. So with no magic Cameo system modeler, we have different methodologies for integration, and these methodologies are different depending on different type of vendors. We can define different ways of integration of simulation tools. If you look at it, we can, if you bring, for example, uh, Simulink or MATLAB or Maple or Mathematica as directly integrated into the block diagrams, we can run the commands of these languages or these tools inside block diagrams. So we can execute commands based on these languages. Or we can export models like Modelica or Simulink from the MBSE. And in new updates for 2021, we would be able also to import also Modelica and Simulink into our MBSE platform, as well as we have different type of programming languages that they can be incorporated into our block diagrams and or activity diagrams. And in activity diagrams, we can define different simulation models, or we can execute simulation models using the languages that they are defined, like MATLAB, Python, JavaScript, that they can be defined as a part of the activity diagram. One of the important or very interesting aspect of integration is functional mockup interface. I will explain about it more, but is a standard way that you can use simulation models from many vendors, and you can easily incorporate and integrate those models into model-based system engineering platform. And the last one or list, or is kind of, or not list, is kind of uh, way of generating processes like using Model Center or Process Composer on 3D Experience platform. We can export processes as a simulation process. They would be executed out of the platform, and then they come back to Cameo System Modeler for providing results, and the results would be used in Cameo System Modeler. So as I told you, functional mockup interface, or FMI, is a standard that it has been used by many vendors, is a independent tool. So is an independent standard, doesn't belong to any company, and is for sharing and integrating models quite easy across different platforms. And reason is that this standard is processor and simulator independent, and also is in general is an XML file that is providing inputs and outputs, and a binary or C code that is embedded inside this file. And when you provide it to another tool, that FMU standard can be used by another tool. So Quiet providing freedom to users and engineers to use different type of tools and generate code simulation or use data or model from one tool in another tool. So it has a quite a small footprint and is quite easy to use. It is quite stable. And one advantage it has is that you can provide your model to another person, but you can block or you can hide the IP of your model. You can hide all the equations or what is calculated inside your model. The only thing your model is providing inputs and outputs, so other users they can use your model without knowing what's the content. So it comes with two different formats. One is called model exchange and one is code simulation. The main difference between these two is that the model exchange doesn't come with a solver, so is always using the solver of the host. And the co-simulation, it comes with a solver. So when you are using a co-simulation FMU, you are using the solver that comes with the FMU. In some cases, you may need to have the license or the tool that is provided the FMU on the same computer. So is using the license for running the simulation on the solver of that tool. In some cases, for example, with Daimola or some tools, even you don't need, I mean, if it's binary FMU or C code FMU, you don't need to have the tool on the machine that you are executing the FMU. So you generate the FMU, you give it to a colleague that doesn't have that tool, and that colleague can run the simulation on another machine, a machine with a model-based system engineering platform. And it's not only limited to 1D simulation, as I gave you examples. It can be used by for 3D or high fidelity simulation tools, as well as block diagrams and controlling or control simulation tools. So it would provide you a platform that you can use many tools or and supporting tools. And if you look at the for this standard, you would see that there are many companies and simulation tools complying with this standard. Now, whatever I explained to you is not no magic or Dassault system methodology. They are all based on standards that they are used by OMG or a standard that most of the systems engineers, they accepted them for model-based system engineering. So if I explain some of these methodologies for integration, you can see that these methodologies are based on all of these OMG and other standards like FUML or SysML, all of these are actually coming from these standards. Also, for model execution, the methodologies are typical methodologies like Monte Carlo or power rollup or trade studies that they are mostly used by other systems engineers. So it's not kind of generating or creating a new type of simulation methodology. It's all based on what is already used by systems engineers. So using an application of integration to no magic Camille system model is quite easy. I mean, in some cases like FMU, you just drag and drop the FMU into your uh, block diagram or BDD, and it would generate a block for you with all the variables and ports that would be available for integration and connecting it to other blocks in your simulation model. The same with MATLAB. You have an M file or MATLAB file, you just drag and drop it, and it would generate constraints or blocks that they are related to MATLAB. So now you can see that you may bring different models from different tools and generate a co-simulation platform for different models. In some cases, these models, or you can write them let's say you can write your MATLAB model inside your block or activity diagram, as well as or command, or you can kind of bring models from outside, and then you can connect all of these models with each other. So in this example, as you can see, we bring a model from FMU that is created from Simulink, FMU from Daimola, or that is based on Modelica language, and you can see two different FMUs from different, or there's the same FMU because they are the same standard, different FMUs from different vendor tools, and now we can connect them to each other and we can run simulation and execute simulation. So if you look at it, you can see that using these methodologies, you can use integrate parametric solvers, and then they are in the context of the full simulation. You have dynamic expressions that allows you to trace and maintain dependencies among critical parameters. So you may have parameters in your FMU or the model that you integrated in your simulation tools, and these integrated parameters, they can be also shared with parameters, or they can use parameters from your descriptive model or constraints or from your requirements. So this is another example. For example, you have several configuration of one model with different parameters. Let's say in this case, we have a missile that it has different, for example, diameter or length that would change the fuel tank size for this missile. Now, for different sizes, we can calculate what is the distance that missile can fly, and we can compare it to the requirement right away. And among them, we can select the best answer that would actually, or best alternative that would be as close as possible to our requirements, considering that we may have different KPIs or we may have different parameters that also they are key parameters for us. And we can now not only use one requirement or one parameter to optimize our uh, simulation model, we can use several requirements and several parameters to optimize our parameters simulation model and select the best option from our simulation model. So here I start explaining an example more related to life science. In this example, I start from a simulation model. In this simulation model, I have a, automatic injection equipment or instrument. That in this instrument, we have a rechargeable battery is providing power to electromotor, and this electromotor would push against or provide, would change the direction of the rotation to linear movement, and it would push these injection or syringes to push the medicine or drug into the bloodstream in a very slow and manageable uh, kind of manner. So in that case, we are slowly injecting the drug into patient's brain and also the bloodstream. And in this case, we need to be sure that we can control it properly, or the user is controlling it. There are sets of requirements for this system based on different type of like syringes that we are using, or different speed that we are using. So we don't want the system, if you are using very low speed, to have very low power or very low kind of robustness. To be sure that the system is robust and has a good quality for each option that the user is using. So we all have many use cases and also test cases for this system. So as you can see, now is not only model-based engineering that you only care about maybe a few tests and you want to evaluate your system. You also have sets of different type of requirements and also tracing from those requirements to different components of the system. So in this system, as I told you, it can be very complex. I'm trying to make it simple as for this demo. So as you can see, we have a control system, we have an electromotor that is supposed to serve, and also mechanical system, a very simple design for this example. And also we have a syringe that is uh, injecting different type of fluid with different viscosity and density. And we have a battery that we want to be sure that over the time, this battery can charge this equipment very well. So the user would be able to charge it once per month or once per 2 weeks, and or maybe every 20 times, and to be sure that over all of this time the battery system or charging system is working very well, and the warranty of the system would be enough. So after several years, the aging would happen in the battery. So we would like to know, or to be sure that this rechargeable battery is going to work through the lifespan of the warranty that or guarantee that we have defined for our system. So all of these aspects also can be simulated in this simulation model. Now, from this simulation model, we generate FMU or functional mockup unit. And as you can see, the process is very easy. We just export it, and now the FMU is generated. Now, we want to incorporate or integrate these simulation models in our system engineering platform or architecture. Now, in system engineering architecture, we have a higher descriptive view. We have different type of use cases and also different type of requirements. So requirements are not only limited to requirements related to components of the system. We have different use cases, stakeholders, and also requirements related to different kind of test cases depending on the FDA or other codes and standards that they are also asking you to run some simulations or test cases and provide results and evidence that this system is capable of providing good results or working through this or or being evaluated based on all of these requirements. So your requirements, okay, I selected several requirements, can be much more than this, and you can evaluate your uh, system or equipment or instrument against all of the requirements at the same time. So you can be sure that all the requirements are met. In this case, we want to be sure that one of the test cases, it would be that we want to be sure that the system can move slowly enough that the drug delivery time, if it's more than 5 seconds, nothing is going to happen, because in some cases they slow down the electromotor and the electromotor is not capable of providing enough power or the push against the fluid to inject it. So in this case, we just drag and drop the FMU. As you can see, when we drop the FMU, all the parameters and the variables of the simulation models that we created, as well as the ports that they are providing inputs and outputs to this simulation model, they would be accessible and available to the user. In this case, as you can see, there are tons of variables in the system that they are accessible through this menu. So for example, for the battery, for the electromotor, for the mechanical system, any variable or any constraint that we want to apply, it can be accessed or it can be seen in this menu. So as you can see, we can select several, for example, variables or KPIs or inputs and outputs. And in this case, now we can connect these variables to parameters of our descriptive model. So we can define some constraints or we can use some parameters from requirements, from different type of requirements, and we can connect our simulation models to different requirements to be sure that uh, when we get our results, we can immediately check if the system is capable of meeting all of these requirements or not. So in this case, I just place one requirement. You can have many requirements, and you can connect these requirements to different variables of our simulation model to be sure that at one simulation or use cases, your test cases, you can check all of these requirements and validate the system. Now, as you can see here, this simulation tool, or No Magic, it has its processing or simulation like tool. In this case, you can define different stop or start time or a step size. So you can have control of your simulation. So it's not only simulation is driven by the simulation tool, you have this authority to change the time and the step size on some kind of aspect of the simulation inside No Magic Cameo System Modeler. So here now you can also select different type of output from your simulation. So you can generate different graphs or diagrams from your simulation, and also look at different type of variables, not only as a graphical view. You can generate CSV file or tables or outputs in different formats, so you can record your results for different type of variables or validation that you have implemented and applied. Now, you can run your simulation. As you can see, the simulation is quite fast. You can change the causality, and also you can look at different ports. One interesting thing is that when you're running the simulation, during the simulation time, you can change or select different results. So it's not only at the beginning or at the end, you can apply some modification to your simulation. Even during the simulation, you can change some parameters, or you can select different type of inputs and outputs, and you can monitor them in your simulation. Now, as you can see, you can run your simulation with many configurations. So from the same system, you can generate different type of configuration with different parameters, and you can run all of these simulations in a batch mode, like DOE, or you can run trade-off analysis. So you can see if you change one of the parameters, what would be the impact of that parameter on the overall system behavior. So you can find which option would have the best option, or would kind of a combination of different variables, how which combination would give you the best answer. And now you can find if your system can meet your requirements. So this is another example. So in this example, again, this example is very simple. In our daily life, we deal with it. Is for the car seat heater, or you have seen that the driver and the passenger seats in many cars these days, they have a heating system. So it's mostly like a electrical element or heating element, and is a controller in your car ECU or car controller that is controlling how much is getting hot. So you don't want to, or definitely you don't want to make it too hot to cause any problem for the passenger or the driver. But the other hand, you want to be quite efficient and don't want to damage your battery, so you don't want to take too much current, or at the same time, you want to be sure that in a very cold day, the seat can get quite warm quickly. So you may create a controller by Simulink or from MathWorks, which is a very good tool for developing controlling model. And also the other side, you are developed another FMU from Daimola that is very good tool for behavior modeling. So now you have two tools with their strength in different uh, aspect and domain, and you bring these two tools and you create co-simulation between these two tools. So now in this case, the Cameo System Modeler is actually organizing and orchestrating co-simulating co-simulation between these tools. So one tool, the Simulink, is providing the control for the seat heater, so it's providing the signal that makes the system hot enough, like let's say 20 degrees, and at certain point it would stop heating, but it wants to maintain the temperature around 20 degrees. And the other side, the heating element should be capable of following this control, so it can provide enough heat at the time that we require for the system, or we provided as requirement for the system. So we can evaluate how both controller and the physical heating system, they are individually performing, and also how they are performing together. So you can evaluate both of them individually and together from two different vendors as simulation models. So in this case, you don't need to create the prototype to test it. It's the same for that equipment or instrument for medicine injection. You don't need to build the equipment as a prototype. You can simulate it ahead. You can run many test cases. And if you are happy with that, then you can use the same electromotor or the same battery that you have already model. So that was overall about integration of simulation models into system engineering platform, or MBSE, or model-based system engineering platform. Please don't hesitate to call us, or if you have any question, you can reach us to ask any question. So at the end of this presentation, I would like to thank you all for listening, and I would like to know if you have any question or comment.
Excellent. Thank you, Behnam, so much. That was a great presentation. As Behnam mentioned, we'll move into the Q&A session. And as a reminder to the audience, if you have any questions you'd like to ask, feel free to submit them in the questions window in the GoToWebinar control panel. And it looks like we've had a few come in already, so let's go ahead and get started. The first question, Behnam, is integration of simulation tools into NoMagic limited to Dassault Systèmes software?
Oh, no, it's not. I mean, if you look at it, you can bring different tools from different vendors. So even on the platform, or 3D Experience platform, we have this capability to bring different tool outputs from different vendors. One of the best methodologies that would help us to be independent is FMU. So we can bring FMU from different vendors, as you could see. I could bring from Simulink or from like other vendors as well.
Perfect. The next question is Cameo using solver from other tools, or it's solver for co-simulation?
So this is a good question, because it depends on what methodology you're using. Let's say if you're using MATLAB, then you're using the solver from MATLAB, because that solver is more providing a better and more accurate result. The same if you're using solver from, for example, Daimoler or Modelica, or tool model from there. You have two options. You can use the solver from, for example, Daimola, or you can generate binary FMU and use the solver that is open source. But also we have the solver on the Cameo System Modeler for the models or the commands that we create on the Cameo System Modeler. So we can have a combination of different solvers on the model-based system engineering platform.
Very good. So it looks like that's all the questions that we've received. Thank you again, Behnam, for sharing your time and expertise today. I think that the audience found this information very useful and interesting. Thanks everybody for joining. Yep, and we'll see you again at the next session.
Have a great day.